Chad Dukes versus the World, broadcasting live from Richmond, Virginia. Redskins in the throes of training camp, and I don't know, maybe there's some more talented backfields in the league, but I can't imagine there's many. And the gentleman that will be presiding over them for the entirety of the season is Randy Jordan, Coach Randy Jordan, who joins us right now in person. Great to see you, Randy. How are you?
I appreciate it, man. It's like one of my dreams, man. I listen to you when I be coming home, going to work. Yeah, I know about the Dukes, man.
This sounds a little sarcastic if I didn't know any better.
No, I listen to you, man. You guys got a great show.
That is flattering. Craig Hoffman, of course, our Redskins reporter, is with us as well. You got to talk to me about your coaching, maybe the greatest to ever do it, and then some really young, talented guys. Chris Thompson's there and Samaje's there. And you look at it and say, this may be the deepest position group this team has, and Bryce Love's still going to be a part of the equation. What's it like tackling all those different types of backs?
Well, first of all, it's fun. I tell you, it's you come to work every day, and the biggest thing is the challenge, in my opinion, is when you walk in that room, they're ready to go. So the preparation is the key. And the thing I love about it is that you got an automatic, almost a level type of coaching. You know, you got to yell at people, scream at people. But when you've got the depth that we have, I don't have to do a lot of yelling, because all of a sudden the guy rips out a 20-yard run. Then they're looking at me, well, Coach, when I'm going to get my rep in? And so that really neutralizes that kind of deal in terms of getting guys motivated to go out and compete every day.
Adrian's been banged up the last couple of days, but having him in the room over the last couple of years as a mentor, especially to Darius, a young guy coming in here who's still waiting his first real NFL snaps, but what has he been able to bring from his experience that even you as a guy who played in the league for such a long time, has been coaching in the league, what has he been able to add as almost a hybrid coach on top of being an excellent player?
Yeah, I think the number one thing what people don't really realize about him is that is he wants to win. You know, everywhere he's been, you know, he's got this aura about him. He's going to go out and he's going to compete each and every day. And, you know, he still has that fire. But the thing is, and he's missing right now, is a Super Bowl ring. And he wants to do everything in his possible power he sees a guy like Geis you know, I always say this to people is you can't fool players. Players know who the players are. So when he saw Geis and he sees Chris, he sees guys that are really, really talented. The only thing he wants to do is he'll interject from time to time in terms of this is what I saw, this is if I would have done this, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, he's trying to get himself ready to go so he can help us win some games next year.
When you're dealing with guys, because Chris is so effective, we've seen him so many times make big plays for this team. We know how talented Darius Geis is. Is there a pitch count we're talking about here? I mean, durability, and this is a tough game, and guys are going to get injured no matter what. How much of your job is kind of worrying about that and preparing like that, and the dispersal of the workload? Good Lord, amongst these guys, I can't imagine what that's going to be like.
Well, I think the biggest thing, the pitch count, you know, how many carries guys get, especially when you got depth like we have so far. I think the biggest thing is if a guy gets hot, I mean, it's just like basketball. Keep feeding them. I believe in that. You know, if a guy gets in there and they're feeling it and they're ripping off runs and they're feeling the flow of the game, you let it ride out. But Chris Thompson, to go back to him, he's so important to our team. I mean, people just don't realize from the protection standpoint what goes into it, the work that goes into it, identifying defenses, and to have a guy when you can check a ball down and it's 3rd and 8, and all of a sudden he can turn that 3rd and 8, get you 4 yards, and then turn it into a first down. That's critical. And I'm so excited about him. A lot of people they ain't been talking about him, you know. and the thing that people don't realize is last year he went through a whole season where he didn't go through a camp. And we kind of made sure that he was ready for the season. And throughout the season, he was getting his rep load in. And so this year he's got a full year where he's coming off that injury off his ankle. And I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the team.
Who makes the calls on that rotation? Is that something that you will do exclusively? Because I know, like, Clinton talked about when he was here, Clinton Portis talked about that he and Liddell Betts just kind of had an understanding where they would tap in, tap out. I'm sure as a player you probably did some of both of those as some of the backfields you were a part of. So is that going to be you, outside of obviously CT and the stuff that's kind of in his bag? How do you balance Darius and Adrian?
Well, I think when you talk about both guys, they're both guys that are high rep guys, high volume carry guys. So what I do is anytime I've had this situation before when you got a guy like the two that you mentioned, is when they go through a series, it's just making sure they understand, hey, you can go full go, okay, 100 miles an hour, knowing that you've got somebody coming in that can pretty much keep everything going on that same level, or even take it to another level. Whereas, I think about it almost like MMA or boxing, right? Because I'm a big MMA fan. You're not playing 5 rounds. You're talking about a first half, second half, all these different carries that go on. And if you can wear down defenses, that's where you really have an opportunity late in the game to finish games or rip out some real big runs. Because when you think about Adrian, you think about what he's done in the league, and you think about what guys, the potential that he has, those guys can be a load as a combination.
You're a big UFC guy?
I love UFC, man.
What do you think of Jorge Masvidal fighting Conor McGregor?
Oh, my God.
That's the next one I'd like to see.
Oh, man. Let me tell you something. Conor McGregor, man, I tell you, I love Conor, and I tell you this, I hope he gets back to where he was, because he was the show, man.
Yeah.
He comes in and he knocks guys out, and I tell you, Diaz, though, that Diaz fight,
I'm so glad he's back in the octagon, too.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, what do you think of Greg Hardy doing what he's doing? The fact that I understand that there's going to be a reaction. I understand, like, the checkered background, but he's fighting in a cage, and I think we should give second chances, and that's about as hard of a way to make a living as you can possibly do. I think it'd be good for him and good for the sport if he was able to find some success there.
Well, I think the biggest thing is when you look at Hardy, first of all, he's a freak, right?
Sure.
Okay, he was a freak when he played in the league, and you're talking about putting him in a cage, and that type of training that goes on, that's totally different from football, obviously. Sure. But, you got the physical skills that he has, and then you train, and that's all you're doing. You're going to be somewhat good at it. I just believe that. I tell people all the time, if you take a natural athlete and you say, hey, let's go bowling, and that's all you're going to do, a guy like they're going to be good. You got hand and eye coordination. Obviously you're talking about fighting another human being. There's a little bit of craziness that goes into that, but I think it's really good for the sport.
Often it was so funny because I used to do the show with LeVar Arrington, and it was right when Brock was breaking out in the UFC and just pummeling everybody. And LeVar swore. He said, if I got in an octagon with him, I'd kill him. And I said, LeVar, that guy's – what are you talking about? And he always said, what I did out there rushing the passer was martial arts. And I was like,
no.
I don't know, man. Did you see the way that guy wrestles? It was tough to bleed, tough to swallow.
Yes, exactly.
Got to ask you about Adrian Peterson last year. I don't know how many times we had the conversation, Craig and I, during the season. The offense, you guys had so many injuries. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And he was consistent the entire time and would put the whole team on his back in his mid-30s. And, look, I know what he did in Minnesota, but I got to believe that's one of the most impressive things he's done in his career, considering you're going to your third quarterback and signing guys off the street, and he's still finding success. What was that like, coaching him and watching him do that?
It was unbelievable. I tell you this quick story, man. People who know me, I love stories. I'm from the South. But the first play, one of the first experiences with him, I had to really pinch myself and say, hey, man, I'm coaching Adrian Peterson. Hey, man, I played with this brother on Tecmo Bowl, whatever it was, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh, my God.
Were you still in the league as a player when he was playing?
I mean, he was playing, yeah. So you talking about overlapping with that. But, quick story, we get into Arizona and we run a little play, and we're always going to leave one guy. We actually had a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, and a future Hall of Famer, Peterson versus Peterson, the DB. So, and he just playing. He made him miss one time, and then he came back and he's retracing on the play, and he fills him and he stiffs arm, and then you see that the trademark head back trying to get ready to go. He's pulling out. He makes a 20-yard run, so I pull Chris Thompson. I say, Chris, get him out. So he's coming towards me, so I'm getting ready to high five. If you can envision this. So I'm getting ready to high five. I'm thinking, oh, this is what I'm coaching this year. And this guy slaps my hand, man. He knocks my hand down. He's like, that ain't coach. That's supposed to have been 80. And I'm like, I'm looking around like, damn, I thought that was a pretty good run. So that just gave me a new perspective in terms of the type of player he is and just the perfection that he's always searching for.
Gives you a little idea of why the guy's so great.
Exactly.
I want to get – I'm always fascinated by this because you and Ike are in an interesting spot. Ike Hilliard is the receivers coach here. You played for some of the coaches on this staff. Mm-hmm. When you were a player, did you ever imagine coaching, and did you ever imagine coaching with, say, a Bill Callahan, who was your coach in Oakland?
I did. And, my last couple of years there, with Rich Gannon and Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and those guys, I knew that I wanted to get in coaching. I didn't know how I was going to get in coaching, and Bill was the first one to come to me And actually, I went to him, and he gave me an opportunity to be a special team assistant when I retired and after the 2002 loss in the Super Bowl. And so, pretty much my career has been because of him, in terms of starting and where I went to Nebraska and so forth and so on to A&M, back to my alma mater, and then back in the league. So, yes, I have. I've always kind of envisioned myself having an opportunity to coach with Bill and some of the other coaches that I've coached with.
Last thing for you real quick is Randy Jordan's with us here on The Fan. Every time that Jay brings up Samaje, we in the media all laugh. Why are we wrong?
Well, let me just say this. You got to think about it. Samaje P. Ryan, when we drafted him, and he came into a situation where basically, he had an opportunity to play early. And then, some things happened where he put the ball on the ground. And, and then last year, you go back to last year, you got a Hall of Famer. You got my man, Samaje. You got the Hall of Famer. You got Samaje. So the thing is, who you going to pick? Hall of Famer? Samaje.
Yeah.
So he was kind of humble, stayed hard working, came back in shape, studied the game. He's quicker. He's faster. He is everything that I envision him to be. Sometimes it takes guys a little bit longer to get it, once you make that transition into the NFL. So I'm really excited to see this version of Samaje compete in the preseason and so forth and so on.
Excited to meet this version of Coach Randy Jordan. He has excellent taste in radio shows. Thank you so much. It's hot out here, sir. Appreciate you spending a couple of minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Great conversation. We're broadcasting live from Redskins training back in the capital of the great Commonwealth of Virginia. You're listening to Chad Dukes versus the World.